Morning. This is the sixth part of History Lesson 1, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. In the previous parts, the Age of Revolutions we read with the help of examples from France, Greece, and Belgium. We also learned about the Romantic thinkers and how feelings of nationalism become strong through Romanticism. Now, today's topic is hunger, hardship, and popular revolt. In this part, we shall learn about how circumstances changed and revolt was started with the help of the example of Silesia. 1830 was the era of great economic hardship. Now, let us note the causes of economic hardship. In the mid 19th century, the population of Europe was increased a lot. So, the first cause of economic hardship was growing population. The impact of growing population was growing unemployment because, according to the number of population, the employment opportunities was not increased. So, this was the second cause, that is growing unemployment. Now, these unemployed people, they search for work, so they migrate from rural to urban areas in large amount. So, the third reason was migration of people from rural to urban areas in search of work. Now, growing unemployment and migration of people from rural to urban areas, it also increased poverty in the cities. At the same time, because of the crop failure and bad harvest, there was shortage of food crops in the market, and because of the bad harvest, the prices of food crops also rises. And as we know, that when the supply was less, but the demand rises, then the prices of food crops automatically rise. Now, the sixth and the last cause of economic hardship was the growing industrialization. Now, due to the growth of industrialization in England, small producers in towns, they faced stiff competition from cheap machine made goods. Because of their own profit, these small producers were not able to pay the fair wages to the workers, and this results in poverty. So, these were the six causes of great economic hardship of 1830, and this was the worst period ever in Europe of hunger and hardship. Because of these reasons, there were outbursts of the people in 1848. And the people who participated in this revolt were the poor peasants who were the lower class of the society. So they forced to flee Louis Philippe from his position, who becomes the constitutional monarch in the year July 1830. So these are the impact of hunger and hardship, or we can say that impact of food shortages and unemployment of 1830. Now, the decisions made by the new government. To pacify the people, finally, new government made some decisions. These decisions are: National Assembly proclaimed a republic. Republic means it is a form of government where head of the state is an elected person. They granted suffrage to all adult males above the age of 21 years. National workshops were set up to remove unemployment and poverty. So these were the three decisions which were made up by the new government. Now, let us understand with the example of Silesian weavers. An important event of this time was the revolt of the Silesian weavers against their contractors in the year 1845. These contractors supplied them raw material and gave them orders for finished textiles, but drastically reduced their payments. So, the peasants stormed into the contractors' mansions and demanding their rights or higher wages, which was not considered by the contractors. So, this is an example of Silesian weavers. Now, the history of Europe between 1830 to 1848 was lined with many revolts and uprisings. So, let us learn the revolt of liberals in the year 1848. It was the revolt which took place parallel to the revolt of poor, who were the peasants and farmers, who revolt against the hunger and hardship. This was the revolution of liberals, who were the members of middle class and they were relatively rich. Inspired from the France, in the Germany, Italy, Poland and Hungarian Empire, here men and women of liberal middle class, they began demanding the constitutionalism with national unification. They all opposed the monarchy and wanted to form parliamentary form of government. And for this, they started the revolt of 1848. And with this revolution of liberals, let us see the case of Germany. Now in Germany, middle class groups that were teachers, merchants, businessmen, professionals, they all come together in the city of Frankfurt to vote for an all-German National Assembly. On the 18th of May 1848, with 831 elected representatives, the Frankfurt Parliament was convened in the Church of St. Paul. They drafted a constitution which limited the power of monarch and offered it to Frederick William IV, the King of Prussia. Now the conclusion of Frankfurt Parliament, when they offered the constitution to the Prussian King Frederick William IV, he rejected the constitution and joined by other monarchs to oppose the National Assembly. All German National Assembly lost its popular support. As a result, the army had to intervene to settle the dispute, but finally, the Frankfurt Parliament was forced to disband. Now let us learn the role of women in this revolution. In spite of holding the concept of universal freedom, the liberal revolutionaries, they anticipated narrow-mindedness in their attitude towards the women. Women played an active role in the revolts and popular movements. They founded newspapers, formed political associations, took part in political meetings and demonstrations. But suffrage and political rights still eluded them. So the Frankfurt Parliament is an example where women merely acted as spectators in the visitors' gallery. Now, finally, the outcomes of the revolt of 1848. Conservatives understood that now they could not restore the old order. So, to avoid another revolt, they granted concessions to liberal nationalist revolutionaries. The concessions were: Conservators, forces, and monarchs in the form of concession, serfdom, and bonded labor were abolished in Habsburg dominion and in Russia. Habsburg rulers who granted more autonomy to the Hungarian in 1867. So these were the some positive changes done by the at that time by the conservatives. Finally, the questions formed from this part. The decade of 1830 had brought economic hardship in Europe. Support the statement with suitable arguments. Second question, explain the Frankfurt Parliament. Third and the last question, explain the role of women in the nationalist struggle. So that's all for this part. Thank you.